should apologize. I have been here. Sorry, I'm looking at my mic. I'm not sure
Yeah,
which way I'm
now you're
facing.
talking. No, no, the other side. Yep, there you go.
This side? Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe we should put a little sticker on it.
We really should. This side up.
The star.
You know what's funny is just as we were just logging on right now, both you and I am just here from work. I
You look so
literally,
nice.
I am, yeah, this is my professional.
I
This is
look like
my
Tony.
casual professional look.
I look like Tony Soprano.
You do, you're wearing a sweatsuit. But what's funny is like I log on, you log on, we're both staring at each other, both dead faces, as serious as you can possibly be. We're here for work. And then as soon as I see like, the recording is about to start, I get happier. I don't know what that says about me and
You're like,
you.
I get to be a different person.
I get to be a different person. And I think it's not me that I get to be a different person, but I get to interact with a different person. I get to and an actual human being, because usually it's just a monster that I'm dealing with.
Do you think I'm a bad person? You're just
No.
saying that because this is my
I
podcast.
honestly don't think so. Listen, I think, this relationship is one that has it's one that I've had to think about a lot. It's one that I've had to justify in certain situations. I'll put it that way, although
Justify.
justify
I'm your blood relative.
I think that's the thing. I think people also like they kind of tiptoe into it because you are my blood relative and there's like a limit to all this stuff. But I think at your core you're a very
The
great
core is
person.
down there, though. It's like the
It's
Earth's
way down
core.
there.
Nobody
It's
sees
way there's so
it.
core hasn't been seen for 3 decades.
It's like whatever. Like, people are like, we've gone down the lowest we can go into the ocean. But then if you
Yeah.
go any lower, you're just going to get crushed as a human being.
So now this leads to like a philosophical question, I guess,
Sure.
right? Because I was actually I was on a WhatsApp thread with some of my friends that you know as well. One of our friends who is, let's say, not the most open minded person in the
A
world, right?
deplorable. Yeah, sure.
A deplorable. I wouldn't say he's a deplorable, but you get into a conversation with him if it's in public, you're like, man, I hope this guy doesn't think that, whatever.
Yeah.
He is visiting Jordan right now, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he loves the fact, like he loves the city, and he's surprised by how much he loves it, by how modern it is, the comforts and all those things. If before going to Jordan, he would not have thought of that country that way,
Sure.
right? Now, I have always found deplorable person. I have to deal with a lot of horseshit. Deep down at his core, one of my favorite people in the world, right? He's one of my best friends in the world, right? Because there is a connection there or whatever. This isn't about him. I'm not comparing you to him, right? But his daughter is one of the sweetest, kindest, gentlest people in the world. Like, and just naturally, she's been
Yeah.
that way her entire life. Like, I've known her
Sure.
entire life, right?
Yeah.
So she was sending him like messages on how to say Aman properly, to
Yeah.
pronounce it Aman, because she doesn't want her dad to be like embarrassing while he's there.
That's sweet.
And he bought her like these Palestinian watermelon pendants from there because she really
That's so
wanted
cute.
it for her and her friend who is a Palestinian person, right? So what we're talking about is, all right, this isn't, she is this, there's no way that she's this way because of him, because nurture is shit. But
Uh-huh.
at her core, she's just a great person.
Yeah.
That's my question now. When you say, am I a good person or not? Do you feel that at your core you're a good person? And the rest of this is just like, the abrasiveness, the fact that I hate you most of the times. I'm joking. What do you think? What do you think makes a person a person?
I'm so insulted.
I insulted you like 7 different times in that diatribe.
You're like, like, I'm not sure. Like, there was not like directly, but it felt like there was like a dig about my parenting, like my
Multiple.
children, maybe, like,
Multiple.
like who I am at, like, and then you're comparing me. You're like one of your worst
One of the
friends.
worst people.
I'm
I
just,
know.
I'm just not, and I'm not, and then you're twisting it in a way to be like, so what about you? Do you think you're also a piece of shit?
Well, I just, by the way, not to stop this conversation on how good or bad a person you are, but I do believe your mic is not working. I believe I'm hearing from the laptop. I could
You
be wrong.
are? Oh
Yeah.
no, hold on. How about now?
I don't know. It could just be me. I don't know. It's picking up, it's picking up. It feels like I'm hearing there's like an echo type of deal.
An echo.
An echo. Oh, there you go.
How about now?
Yeah, put your mouth on.
What?
This is gonna say put your mouth on it.
Weird. Okay, does it sound better or is there still an echo?
It could just be me. It could just be the way
No,
that
it
I'm
might
sitting.
not be. It might not be.
Yeah.
You're the only other person here. So
It
let me.
doesn't it doesn't sound as clear as your mic usually sounds.
Oh no. Okay, hold on. Let me restart. Okay, so we got that fixed up.
There we go.
Mike sounds great. Personally, personality wise, or whatever, it's still a piece of shit.
I
Anyway,
think it's important that the mic sounds great so we can actually pick up your true personality unfettered.
we don't have enough time to dedicate to what a piece of shit I am. We need to talk about something that I think you and I are very well versed in. I think it's
Mm.
important to talk about, and I think that it's really topical right now too, and that's group chats. You and I are really good at group chats.
Where that's how I feel too. I think any group chat that we get added to, we bring up the standards,
We
right?
are like really like I like don't want to toot my own horn, but like I feel like I'm a great add to a group chat. Like my value add to a group chat, it's phenomenal.
I'm glad that you feel this way because I feel this way about myself also. I've always like felt a little bit of guilt in the fact that I feel this way about myself, but the
No.
fact that, you also feel that way, then and this is on the heels of me calling you a piece of shit for 5 minutes.
Yeah. First 6 minutes of the podcast, you compared me to the worst person you know. But
Mhm.
now I will say the other thing, not to bring up another bad person that we know, but you know who else is probably really feels like they're a great value add to a group chat?
Who's that?
Our brother. And so I don't know what that says about us, but what I will say is that neither me nor you nor our brother would
Mhm.
ever accidentally share war plans
Yep.
in a group chat or accidentally add the wrong person to a group chat. Have you ever added a wrong person to a group chat?
Absolutely, 100% not. I am very aware of all of the participants in a group chat as soon as I enter a group chat. I modify my personality and my tone accordingly.
I feel like millennials are so good at group chats. Like
Yeah.
we've been chatting this whole time. We're
Yeah.
probably like better at group chats than we are at face-to-face conversation.
100%. I think I get like, when you're talking to somebody face to face now, that's like really the only time when you can focus in on a thing because my mind on especially on WhatsApp is I'm on 6 different group chats at a time. I'm having 6 different conversations and I'm 6 different people in those group
Wow.
chats, right? You know what I mean? Like so like in the chats that I'm in with you, right?
Mhm.
Primarily, I am looked at as a mouth breathing Neanderthal, not to that level, but
Sure, sure,
I'm
sure.
I'm a problematic person.
Uh-huh.
In my other group chats with like the guys,
You're a
I
libtard.
am one like a pinko lib. This is the problem. This is why you don't want Raheel to babysit your kids because he's gonna have them read gay books, stuff like that, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And so, yeah, I am really well. I'm really well. I'm really good at group chats.
Do you know about innies and outies from Severance?
And no, I'm not there yet. I'm
I know
sorry.
you're not there yet. Did you watch any of the show?
I've watched the first episode
Okay,
because
so
it was
this isn't
free.
giving anything away. But,
Okay.
Severance is a show about people who go into work and they have a chip put into their brain where
Mhm.
when you go into work, you only think about work. You have an entire work personality. And then when you leave work, you don't know anything about what you're doing at work. You go home and you like recollect nothing that you did at work. And so they
Mhm.
call your work personality your innie and they call your real life personality your outie. And what I was
Mhm.
going to say is you have 6 different group chat innies that you are constantly maneuvering in. And that's
Yep.
pretty impressive, I have to
Yeah.
say. I've slowly started to expand who I am in an outie and an innie across the board. Like whoever I am when I'm in a group chat with like super Muslim people versus like my non-Muslim friends versus like my podcast friends, whatever, it's all the same. The other day, I woke up and my eyes were swollen, and it looked like I had a ball sack underneath my eye. 2 ball sacks right underneath my eye right here because they were
Mhm.
swollen. And I made a video and I sent it to one of my friends. And then I debated putting it in my Instagram stories on both my accounts. And I was like, you know what?
Ooh.
I think I would do that. That's fine. But I looked really raggedy. My shirt had drool on it, so I didn't do it. But I felt comfortable being the same person across the board. And despite being the same person across the board, I would never accidentally add a person to a group chat that did not belong there. Nor would I ever share information in a group chat that not everybody in that group chat is supposed to be privy to.
Exactly. I know we're talking about 2 different things now, because there's yes, one conversation is about who you are as a person within the group chat. The second one is, hey, there's just some boomers doing some boomer shit. This is like, yeah, you know who I expect to add somebody to a group because I get added to groups by this person all the time is our mother. Our mother would add
Oh
me
my
to a group
god.
chat with
Can I
like
tell
her.
you a quick our mom, me adding us to a group chat story, which like
Please.
explains what a dog shit human I am, like our sweet mother. So this is a couple of years ago. My mom, our mother added me to a group chat that was labeled on WhatsApp called "Ladies, Let's Read Quran Together." And she proceeded to add every single female that she has ever known whose phone number she has. So, like our girl cousins, aunts, all these people, family, friends, whoever's number me had, she added to this WhatsApp group. And it was like, let's all get together and encourage each other to read the Quran. And it was
Mhm.
probably like 60 women deep.
Yeah.
And I was the first person to leave it. I got added to group chat. I looked at it. I said, "Leave group chat."
Did she create it? Was she the one that created it?
She was the one who
Oh
created
my
it,
god.
and I
Have
was
you
the
talked
first.
to her about it? That's
Yeah,
so
yeah, we just
embarrassing.
like I just laughed about it. She's like, "Ah, you're so Balinese." I was like, "Ha ha ha." It was like no big deal. Whatever. My daughter's garbage. I
She
have one
she
daughter and she's a piece of shit, and that's why
she
I need to reach out to 60 other women to see if they'll do this religious activity with me.
that's the thing. So, like, in your experience, you're like, "Oh, I'm just laughing with my mother about how terrible a person I am." She is also now going to be repenting for your sins.
That's what,
Tonight, actually. Tonight,
that's
she's gonna be up until 5 a.m. being
yeah.
like, "I have raised this garbage human being." Yeah.
Now, if you were accidentally added to a group chat, have you
Mhm.
ever been accidentally added to a group chat that you
So
didn't belong in?
I'm part of a group chat in, Central Jersey, called, Mango.
That's the alms dealers.
The alms dealers, yeah,
Yeah.
so, it's coming up in a couple of months. The summer months are rife with mango activity,
Mhm.
for the Daisy listeners. We get
Do
the
you think
mangoes
that
for
do you think that that's gonna get shut down because of all of, like, the, ice
the
stuff?
amount of things that are about to get shut down. I do believe we're this is gonna be the last summer of Pakistani mangoes for
Oh,
the next 4 years.
no.
Yeah, it's fine. But yeah, I've been in this mango group for a while. They're sometimes like right now it's shut off because the admin isn't allowing anybody else to chat. But when they
By
reopen
the
it,
way, the admin's name is Baba.
his name is Baba.
He's a mango man.
He's a mango. We call him the Mango King.
Yeah. Anyway.
Um, and so when that group chat opens up, right, it's full of uh mostly boomers, like they see boomers and stuff like that. And the shit that gets shared in that group chat, I'm just like, why am I here? I'm not a mango person myself. The
Yeah.
only purpose, like the only reason why I use this sometimes is when I have to pick up mangoes for your family and then drive them up for
I'm so sorry.
coordination. But yeah, that's my one group chat where I'm like, why am I still a part of this? I need to get out of this. But then I don't leave.
If you were added to a group chat like the way that this journalist Jeffrey Goldstein,
Mm,
Goldberg.
yeah.
It's so offensive.
So
Anyway, so sorry. So sorry to all the Goldbergs out there and the
yeah,
Goldsmiths and the
the
Goldsteins.
Goldsteins.
Jeffrey Goldberg, who
Forgot
is
already.
the editor editor in chief at The Atlantic, got accidentally added to a group chat by Pete Hegseth, right? He's the one that did the adding.
I don't believe it was him. I believe it was somebody else who.
Somebody added him and it
Mhm.
had the CIA, FBI,
Yeah.
like secret like assets. So that means like secret CIA people who have like multiple like whatever. Like every single person, JD Vance is on it and these fuckers are sending pumping fist like bicep America flag yeehaw emojis to each other and casually talking about like, "Oh yeah, we saw the target. He walked into a building to visit his girlfriend and the building collapsed." And JD's like, "Good job, girls." Like they're all high-fiving each other. They're talking about how much they hate Europe. They're like casually talking about attacks in Yemen and this Atlantic journalist, this journalist from the Atlantic was added to the group chat. And now it's like obviously all over the news and we're all like,
Mhm.
"Hey, what about better emails and all this stuff and security and da 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 da." Alina Habba, who is now apparently the US attorney for New Jersey. I was like, "What does that mean?"
What that means is when you and I get accused of doing a federal crime here
Uh-huh.
shortly for
Uh-huh.
doing this podcast in the state of New Jersey, that falls under the purview of Alina Habba. So Alina
Oh, great.
Habba is technically now, I believe this is kind of how it works, is she's going to be the top cop from a federal level for the state of New Jersey. Great job, Garden State. Well done.
But we didn't pick her.
We didn't pick her. Now there
Yeah,
is a
Trump
state
appointed her.
attorney general also for
Yeah.
all the crimes that we commit within the state of New Jersey
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
that we will continue to commit. But those people are still Democrats, so we still have it in there.
Yeah, and Alina's not even Miss Haba Esquire LLC, whatever her name is. She's not even like the permanent. She's interim. So Trump
Hmm.
didn't even give her the permanent position. They were like, "What do you think that you're going to get the permanent position?" And she was like, "I don't know, it's still hard to tell." But anyway, they asked her, like, "What do you think about this?" And she was like, "I think that it's a much to do about nothing." It's being twisted in so many different ways. Tulsi and then the CIA guy said, Ratcliffe, he said, "Nothing happened. I don't think it was a big deal." Tulsi said, "I wasn't there." Then they were like, "No, you were there. You're in the group chat." And she's like, "I
Yep.
didn't check." But this is all in Signal. Like, all these people, they're either denying it or when they're addressed about it. What's amazing is like when they're in a room with Trump and somebody asks a question and Trump's like, "Well, this person can answer for themselves." They just like get on their knees and they unzip Trump's pants slowly and they're just like and like they're just gobbling his orange Cheeto up because I've never said they're like, "What we should be talking about
Hmm.
is how safe America is
Yep.
under President Trump." That's what
Yeah.
we should be talking about. And I think that we should be really applauding President Trump for how he has protected our civilians
Hmm.
and our troops. And I'm like, "Wait, what?" It's
Is
incredible.
That's the best. Well, I mean, it's not the best part. Like this is it. It all
It's by
kind of.
the way, all of this is illegal, but it does not seem like laws matter anymore, right? It seems like nothing that is happening that is like, "Oh, that seems unconstitutional or illegal or security, whatever," and all this stuff. Like, it doesn't seem like any of that is amounting to anything
Mhm.
because I don't think that it matters. They're
Well, I
just like
think
do whatever they want.
I think the legality or illegality of it. I think if you look at it from just like objectively, right? What happened here is confidential, private, highly sensitive information about America's national security was shared with an unauthorized person on an unauthorized platform. The fact that that happened, there are so many arguments that you can make for the illegality of that. Like that is
Yeah.
negligence to a criminal level. Like the fact that like the chief of the Pentagon or the what is he like the he's the Secretary of Defense, right? Pete Hegseth.
Yeah.
The fact that he's there and he is viewing this in a normal administration, all of this stuff is fireable. Some of this stuff may be, you know, like criminal. Like
Yeah.
the fact that you're doing this, it really doesn't come back to legality or illegality, right? I think what it comes down to is for the rest of the people, the rest of like the people that voted for Trump, if you are somebody that voted for Trump because you are traditionally a Republican that cares about national security and you care about the army and doing all those things, right? You should look at this and be like, these people are fucking up my security. These people
Yeah.
are fucking up, this country's security, and I don't want them in charge anymore. Right. If you are, but I don't think that that's how these people operate anymore. What's legal and illegal really comes down to who does it. Right.
Yeah.
That's why somebody like, we're joking around about this stuff because it's on some level it's hilarious to think about Vance, JD Vance, like sending emojis with one hand while he's applying mascara on his eyes with the other, in that group chat. But there are there are some really serious things that are happening in this country to minorities, to students, to anybody
Yeah.
that voiced that voiced against the oppression of Israel. Like people are getting picked up now. It's fucking insane,
Yeah. No,
right?
people are getting picked up in broad daylight and they're not even like pretending anymore. Like
Exactly.
there's a doctoral student in I think North Carolina
Hmm.
and he's Indian and he's not been involved in any protest, nothing. He's not done anything, but he got arrested and detained because his wife is a Palestinian citizen and
Yeah.
she's from Gaza. But she's a US citizen, she's Palestinian from Gaza, and they can't do anything to her. So the closest thing they could do is they were just like, well, we'll just terrorize her husband and put his life at risk. And it's just to scare people. It's just to terrify the shit. Like people are it's Gestapo stuff. Like it's
It's terrible.
bad. It's
It's all
terrible.
It's all terrible. The one thing that like this leak story kind of, I don't know. I don't want to call it optimism, but it's like, there's like no greater security blanket for let's say human villainy. Like, you
Yeah.
know what I mean? Like because we think these guys are villain. Like I
Yeah.
think anybody that wants to operate in the way that these guys want to operate, that want to put down minorities, all those things, right? I think that that's villainous behavior. There
Yeah.
is no greater security blanket for human villainy than human incompetence. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Which
Yeah.
is like kind of like, okay, well, what does this mean for us is, okay, these plans were leaked. Now there is a story at the very least that is going to be around for a month. And while this story is around for a month, that should slow them down, right?
Yeah.
And so you kind of take some, I guess, some weird comfort in that. It also makes you think like, well, like the bad guys in movies are dumb for a reason. And
Yeah.
then you also say, well, these guys and their like racist tendencies and their like the narrow-minded way that they look at the world is due to the fact that they're narcissistic, incompetent morons on some
Yeah.
level, right?
Yeah.
So, okay, that's we shouldn't have those types of people have power, which is why all this shit is so scary. But also, it means that they're not really good at their jobs either.
If they're not, and it makes me very confident in my own job.
Yeah, exactly.
I feel really good about myself at work. Like I had some of the most like last week at the end of my work week, I was like kind of depressed. I was like, I don't know, work's been really like stressful, whatever. Like I feel
Hmm.
like there's like a lot of eyes on me, whatever. This week, I'm like I'm all over it. Okay.
Dude,
I've done some amazing meetings this week. And I feel like part of it is also like, how dare I have imposter syndrome? I'm not an imposter. I'm an intelligent person. I've never accidentally added a journalist to a group chat and shared war plans.
I mean, that's a low bar to clear usually. But I do agree with you. And it's funny that you're feeling this way. I've just been randomly really busy at work. Not randomly. I mean, this is what my job is supposed to be.
Yeah.
And like driving back and forth, I've found myself being like, "Hey, man, like you're good at this shit. Like, well done. You're not stealing anybody's money," which is a new experience for me. I don't know how much it's related to like the like seeing the administration fumble and fuck up its way through, running the government or whatever. But yeah, it's nice that we're both experiencing that.
So good for us.
Yeah. Question for you.
Anyway. Yeah.
regarding these chats. Now, obviously, we this one chat was released, right? And with this one chat, and I think this goes back to like the 6 different personas I have in a group chat or whatever.
Mhm.
Is there a group chat of yours that is like the worst chat that could get leaked for you because it has the most sensitive information? Like, how would you, or like when somebody says, "Hey, one of your chats got leaked," what's the nightmare scenario that you're like, "Oh no, people now know that this is how I operate in life"?
It's a chat that I'm in with you, and it's a chat with our cousins, okay?
Oh, really?
Yeah, I think
I
that's the
love.
worst group chat that I'm in.
This is how we're different people. My thing is, if another one of my group chats gets leaked, there's one group chat that is just awful. Like if that chat gets leaked, you're never having me back on. Let's just put
Okay.
it that way. It's
Okay,
just my
great.
friends. They make terrible comments. I laugh along. Sometimes I set them straight. Whatever. It's a
Yeah.
terrible thing, right? If that chat gets leaked, I'm fucking done, right?
Okay.
The cousins chat, I would want that to get released in coordination with the other one because
'Cause they'd be like, "Oh."
I want the world to see like the full picture. Okay, yes, I'm terrible here, but also this is another side of me. There's, that's
Okay, that's fair. I feel like the cousins group chat is a bad one because you guys say some egregious stuff and sometimes I LOL at it. So it's not great. Also, I feel like we make so much fun of each other in like the worst ways that I'm like, somebody would be like, that's cancelable the way that you talk to some of your cousins.
true. It is cancelable. I think our interactions with each other are cancelable to some degree. I honestly don't think so because I think the love, the underlined love
But
is
people don't
kind of
know.
evident.
People
I
don't
understand, but
know. People
they
don't
have
know. They
trust.
see things
They
out
do.
of context and then they don't get it. They're like, why is one of
That's
your
what I'm saying. We need to release the full chat so that people also see that we spend 2.5 hours debating flats versus drumsticks for chicken wings. You know what I mean? We are also these people.
But also, if we were to release those chats, it would
Mhm.
be, I think it's like altogether 8 years of chats. So that's too
Another
much.
No, it's not. This is why you need somebody like me. That is our defense strategy. We bury them with
We
evidence. Go ahead.
inundate with them with evidence. I understand.
Yeah,
I understand.
exactly. Make your way through
Okay.
this.
That's fair. If you were added to a group chat by accident, at what point would you be like, "Hey, I don't think I'm supposed to be in here." Like the way that this journalist did, like
Uh-huh.
where he just like took the information and wrote an article being like, "I was accidentally added to a group chat." Would you do that or would you raise your hand or what would you do? Cuz
It
me,
depends.
I'm a sneaky ass bitch. You
Yeah.
accidentally add me to a group chat, I'm a mouse. I'm quiet as a church mouse. You have no idea I'm even there. I'm going to soak in all the information. I'm screenshotting shit. I'm screenshotting everything.
Uh-huh.
I'm going to collect as much information as possible. I'm not even going to let anybody know that I'm there. And then I'm going to
Now,
use it for a later period.
yeah,
Like,
exactly.
I think that this journalist jumped the gun. I
You
think he
think he
could have waited. I
Well,
think he
so
could have
my
waited.
thing is, I don't think he jumped the gun. I would have probably, in this situation, I would have operated the same way that he did, because now you're saying he jumped the gun. He also wrote the biggest story of his life.
No,
Like
sure,
this
you're
is the
right. Sure,
most,
sure, sure. Sure, sure,
so
sure.
like how much more like that's it's not like they're gonna send dick pics in that group chat. I don't think in this you never know.
You never know.
But I think he optimized his involvement to the best degree. So yeah,
That's
that's
true.
how I would operate.
Um, Jasmine Crockett called Governor Abbott Governor Hot Wheels. Oh, what do you think about that?
I hear that. You hear my immediate. This is the first time I've heard that, by the way.
Yeah.
I think of Governor Abbott. I think of him as a piece of shit. I also know that as progressives and actually just as human beings, when it comes to that stuff, when it comes to like people with different types of people, like people with different abilities, all that stuff, that that comment is offensive, and it's
Yeah.
probably one
It's
that you probably
ableist.
shouldn't make. It's ableist, and it's probably one that you shouldn't make. Right? It goes back to how I saw my boy Chris Christie get treated during the Bridgegate and stuff like that, and after he fell out of favor with the Republicans, and even before that, when he
Yeah,
fell
the
out of
fat
favor with
phobia was rampant.
the fat phobia is rampant. Right? I think if you are a public person, um, and you are especially somebody with that much power, and you have wielded that power to put down minorities and people that need help and stuff like that,
Emphasis
then
on the
you
wheel.
are fucking you are fucking fair game, right?
Mhm.
That's how I feel. It's not how what I would have led with Governor Hot Wheels. But yeah, I really don't have a problem with it. But if
I saw a
somebody does,
post
I
that
understand.
said the thing that's most upsetting about calling him Governor Hot Wheels is that he's not even hot. Anyway, listen, we shouldn't be making fun of people's abilities. Like, that's fucked up, right?
Hmm.
At the same time, in the realm of harm that has been caused by people, Governor Abbott has done way more harm to actually disabled people
Yep.
than Jasmine Crockett did by making that comment. She doesn't need to apologize for it. And,
That's the thing, right?
would I have done it if I were her? No, I would not publicly. At least in a group chat with my cousins that I don't want released, sure. But not publicly, I wouldn't. But at the same time, it's like when we really think about harm,
Hmm.
like harm, right? Real harm that is impacting people. Yes, it is fucked up to make fun of people's bodies and abilities, um, and their disabilities or whatever.
Hmm.
But and not but and also Governor Abbott is a racist fascist piece of shit.
That's and the other part of this is like politics now are a weird fucking game, and since Trump came into he fucked all of this shit up, right? Like,
Yeah.
I hate to say it, but things like Sleepy Joe Biden, they resonate. Things like
Yeah.
little Chuck Schumer with a D for whatever reason because he pronounces it little.
Little.
Those it does resonate. It does resonate with people, right? I
Yeah.
think Jasmine Crockett, all she's doing in this instance is leveling the playing field. Like, this is how Republicans seemingly want people to communicate about each other, right? I think what she's saying is, hey, let's not play by the standards that you and I want to play by because these fuckers aren't playing by those standards. So
Yeah.
let's play by their standards, right? As far as I'm concerned, nothing Jasmine Crockett does is anything that I find offensive. That's exactly how she is operating in a way that I want all of the Democrats to operate, minus the Hot Wheels comment.
Yeah. Also, like, as people who are not disabled, we can't sit here and say that it's not
That's the other thing.
offensive, right? It's perfectly fine if it's offensive to a disabled person. It would make sense. At the same time, the harm that, again, we're talking about like harm reduction, not calling him Hot Wheels is it would have been better.
Hmm.
But if we're going to talk about real harm reduction, it would be like, hey, let's just like not have Abbott as the governor anymore. I feel like
Yeah,
he's been governor for like 100 years. Like, do they not have term limits in Texas?
I don't know, but have you ever read up about his lieutenant governor, Dan Patrick, or the attorney general in Texas? This
I
guy
know
named
somebody who works for him.
something Paxton, I think his name is. Like, if we're talking about actual harm again, right? Look
Yeah.
at and also goes back to our first conversation about legality and illegality. The attorney general, we don't have time to get into how awful, like how he broke the law. It's insane how he broke the law. And he should be in fucking jail, and he got pardoned, and he is the attorney general of the state of Texas, which is insane, right? So yeah, we can discuss calling somebody Hot Wheels and or not calling somebody Hot Wheels. There's actual damage that's being done by
Yeah.
these people as we're
People are
talking.
getting deported and women are dying in waiting rooms
Yep.
because they're having miscarriages. So,
Yep.
okay, ready to talk about White Lotus?
I think so. I think that's all we have.
Now, this episode of the White Lotus,
Mm-hmm.
a chakra through and through, mouth agape the whole time. Also tickled and entertained. We had the full moon party,
Uh
shit
huh.
got weird,
Oh
and
boy,
now
did it!
we are coming to terms with
Ah,
all the shit that
be careful with that word.
with all the shit that got weird. Okay.
Uh huh.
Let's start with what I found out from an interview that Leslie Bibb did that Mike White called the three women. He called them the blob of blondes, the blonde blobs.
Mhm.
And the reason why is because he's like he wanted them to look like a bunch of women that like you couldn't tell apart
Mhm.
until one of them walked away and then you saw the two talking shit about each other. He's like she's like that's literally how these were written, and they were written based on groups of women that he has seen traveling before in his travels. He's so smart. Okay. So we see we see Kate up early, and who does she see? She sees Valentine leaving the
Uh-huh.
villa after having a night with Jacqueline. And the first thing Kate does is she tells Lori, and Lori is activated. Now, in this scenario, people are like, Lori's a piece of shit. She's a shitty friend. Do you think Lori is a shitty friend?
I was thinking about this. What is the right move there? Do you push? Do you not push? I think she did the absolute right thing. I understand Leslie Bibb's concern because she also got thrown under the bus, I guess, to some degree, if you want to put it that way.
Yeah.
And I would feel uncomfortable being the person in the middle also. But Lori's thing is ultimately the right thing. Hey, you've been pushing this person on me, right? As a friend, that's a conversation that I want to have with you because I still have a couple of days left here with you and we are under the pretense that we're here as friends. So, no, let's fucking talk about it. I'm however I feel about this wasn't going to be like the guy that she ends up with for the rest of her life, right? This was just supposed to be
Yeah.
a fling. So it's
Yeah.
like, okay, what's this thing? What is the thing? Like, what were you trying to accomplish here? Or if it's something that happened at, in the spur of the moment, we can also talk about that, right? Do I do I want to have those conversations with my? It could get awkward, right? But I think she did the right thing.
Yeah, also, Kate, like you telling Lori, what was the purpose of that? Like you just wanted to have a giggle about it? Like Kate being like, I just thought you were gonna laugh. Like, why did you think that she was gonna laugh? You saw Lori like flirting with Valentine the whole night. Like, what did you think was gonna happen? You were the only sober person there. And so for Kate to be like, "Ah, why would you throw me under the bus? Like, why did you do that? Like, it's like, well, what were your intentions when you spilled the tea? Because Kate could have seen Jacqueline do that and then gone to Jacqueline and be like, Jacqueline, what the fuck was that? Why was
Yes.
Valentine in your villa? Whatever. Da da da. Kate could have been that friend because that's what real friends do. A real friend would see your friend who's married leave, or like a hot man leave their abode, and then you would
Mhm.
go up to him and be like, dude, what the fuck? You
Yeah.
fucked him? What's going on? That's what a real friend would do. But what Kate did is she went and talked shit about it to Jacqueline. And then Jacqueline, ooh, what an actress for her later on to be like, I thought I was here with my friends, but it turns out that every time I walk away, you guys just talk shit about me.
And
I was
it's
like,
so hard
oh.
because I have to deal with so much gossip and um
And I love Lori because Lori's like, I'm not mad. I'm not
yeah.
mad. I'm not mad. I'm not mad. I'm not mad. I'm just saying it's kind of fucked up, isn't it? I'm not mad. It is funny. It's funny, but
Mhm.
it's fucked up, right? And I'm like, I'm Lori.
Yeah, you are. I knew. So as I was watching, I'm probably
You're,
Kate because people
you're
tell me
Kate.
secrets all the time, and also I people don't know this about me, but I also really secretively do disseminate information that I think would make for a good laugh. That's exactly. Hey, want to talk about this? You want to talk shit about this person? Let's talk shit about this
Guys,
person.
if you're ever on a car ride with Raheel for more than 45 minutes,
Hmm.
secrets are going to be spilled and they're none of yours.
None of yours, and also they will not impact the person whose secret I am spilling. You
Yeah,
will not. It's probably not going to. It's definitely not going to change the way that you interact with that person because you're likely not interacting with that person to begin with.
exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly.
but it makes
Um
for great conversation. Can I
so
just say
funny.
one
Yeah.
thing about the women? Uh, they've all I've admired them all at at separate times. I think Carrie Coon, Lori is
Mhm.
probably the one that I identify with the most as a human being. Um, but Leslie Bibb, man, this episode she was so good. The face acting when she's on the phone and stuff like that, and like when Carrie Coon like throws her under the bus or whatever, she is so good. She may be my favorite actor on
She's
the
so
show.
good. She's so good. Um we Belinda woke up and Porn Chai was there and they're having a tender moment, and then her son walks into the room. And I was like, man, Belinda's a cool ass mom. Like, she's so cool.
Extremely healthy relationship.
So
But
cool.
we was it too healthy? Is that a thing? Like I was wondering, like, because he's like, okay, well, my mom needs to. He's like, I'll let you guys get caught up or whatever. But he like laughed it off, right?
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't know if there's a situation where I walk into something like that and I laugh it off.
I
But
don't
I
know.
don't know what their dynamic is growing up. I think
Yeah.
they've both just kind of been there for each
But
other.
I think it's also they're both adults, and I
Yeah.
think Belinda's been single for a really long time. Now, what I will say is it scares me for her because every time things are on the up and up for Belinda, it's not going to go well. She gets threatened basically by Greg/Gary to
Hmm.
come to dinner,
Hmm.
and it looks. I'm scared for her.
Not looking good. Um, on that front, right? And I think now I'm kind of understanding her character a little bit more. First of all, Porn Chai looks like the most comfortable human being waking up to another human being in the world. He is so he is
Cozy.
passed out. He's so cozy. He's all over her. She has to nudge him a couple of times to wake him up because he's completely out.
Yeah.
And then they have that interaction where he's like, "Hey, if you want to do this thing in Thailand, we could do it together, right?" And she
Yeah.
is like nice and she smiles or whatever, but she's not like ready to jump in right away. She is distrusting or whatever. And they show her afterwards, and I was wondering what that was like. Why isn't she more excited about this possibility? And it's probably because she's had to live this life where things look really great, and then they get fucked over.
Also, Tanya did exactly that to her.
Hmm.
Tanya was like, "Yeah, we're all in," and then she was like, "Sorry, I met a guy, and it's
Yeah.
never gonna happen." So I feel for her, and also, let's be honest, she's known Porn Chai for what, 3 days?
Yeah, but he's got a great body.
I know he does. He's so hot. Guy talk. Guy talk is looking for his gun, and he's nervous. But then he gets it. He finds his gun. Everything. Do you think everything is coming up guy talk or no?
I don't think everything's coming up guy talk.
Because
I
he
think
was
guy.
also invited to join the gang, basically.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm. That's and then now Mook seems to be interested in him, and I was like, "Wait, did I get that wrong? Is she genuine?" I still don't trust it
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
The guy talk gun part is like if I have a problem with the show,
Mhm.
it's I don't understand like I I can
It's
see what Mike White is trying to say there with like, hey, people in other countries, especially ones in the service industry,
yeah.
are super duper hesitant about approaching any sort of American or
Yeah.
Westerner about things like that. So I do understand that. It just felt like it was an unnecessary suspense thing that was thrown in there when you could just be like, hey, I have video of this guy stealing my gun. Right? Let
I
me
know,
just get my gun back.
but that's the thing. Did you not see Fabian? Fabian is terrifying. Fabian is scary, okay?
He's so scary, so
He's so
menacing.
scary. He's terrifying. I thought that he was going to actually help Belinda out, and all he told Belinda is, "I think I'm going to sing." And Belinda said, "Okay, break a leg." Like, I don't think these people really have any advocates. I don't think there's like HR at the White Lotus in Thailand, you know? I think if he was to get caught in somebody's room with a
Mhm.
gun, that rich white person, as far as he's concerned, is a rich white person, is going to be like, "No, let me, do whatever I want." Are you in a group chat right now?
I'm not, but I saw this thing on like the White Lotus subreddit that
Yeah.
the guy that plays Fabian,
Yeah.
he was in that Nazi movie, The Zone. What was that? Zone of something?
Zone of interest?
Zone of Interest. He played a Nazi soldier in that. And when you apply that to like Fabian's personality, you're like, all right,
Ooh, chilling.
there we go.
That's
Chilling.
chilling. All right. So we got Belinda, we got the blondes, we got guy talk. We must now talk about Saxon and Lachlan and the Ratliff family. Okay, Saxon wakes up and he has images of something. He feels like
Uh-huh.
he remembers Lachlan having sex with Chloe, and then maybe he was pleasuring himself, but he's
Uh-huh.
very uncomfortable. He looks really uncomfortable and nauseous. He can't even look his brother in the eyes. And I kind of want to talk about this because I think like you mentioned this last week, and now apparently I didn't realize it's a debate on the internet whether or not they feel that Lachlan assaulted Saxon
Why do I
because you mentioned last week,
Mhm.
like, that's assault because Saxon is not consenting to this. He's not like in his right mind, right?
Yeah.
But the way that Saxon is like moving around the boat and even afterwards, like he's throwing up, he's really uncomfortable, he's not able to look his brother in the eyes. Like I kind of want to compare that a little bit to how also um how uncomfortably we saw Piper move around Saxon in the
Mhm.
beginning of the season, right? I think that there's obviously like Saxon is we talked about this last week. Saxon is used to being the man in charge and the one who is in control and the one who does stuff to other people but not has stuff done to him. And when that dynamic or like that power shift happens, he is completely like a shell of a person. He's
Mhm.
like really uncomfortable. He hates his own like he's like uncomfortable with his own skin. He's
Yep.
really just like out of sorts with his own body. And something that the internet pointed out is that he's so thrown off that when they are leaving the boat, he's wearing Lachlan's shorts and Lachlan is wearing his shorts because he just like got ready in such a rush afterwards. Um yeah.
So there is so this part of the discussion because I do want to get back to the two brothers in the room together because parts of this conversation are hilarious to talk about, right?
Yeah.
But they're hilarious because of the people and the types of people that are
Yeah.
involved, right? Um, but in terms of like the other thing about assault or not assault, to me it is 100% clear that it is assault.
Mhm.
That was my reaction as I was watching the show. Also, the note that I have about Saxon in this part is Saxon is living every woman's nightmare,
Mhm.
right? That
Yeah.
is every woman's nightmare is the I mean, I'm sure again as a non-female, as somebody that doesn't traditionally have to worry about things like this, right? Obviously there is the act, but then from what I've read, the jarring thing is your life afterwards and how you
Yeah.
try to make sense of the world. And it's very deliberate that that is what they're showing, that
Yeah.
he is trying to jog his memory, that he feels physically ill. That's something that you
Yeah.
hear about all the time,
Yep.
that women throw up afterwards
Yep.
because they're just that's how their body's reacting. It is 100% assault as far as I'm
Mhm.
concerned. It's
Mhm.
not, what do you think?
Well, there's a discussion online right now about how people are usually nervous about like especially like millennial women and stuff. Like we're
Mhm.
worried about the Saxon kind of guys in the world, right? These like
Yep.
assertive macho man bro kinds. And then they're saying there's this new threat that's existing, which is these young guys that grow up
Mhm.
on the internet without social skills, without the
Yep.
ability to read the room, who just want to impress alpha guys, so they do stuff thinking that they think that that is an acceptable way to move in the world. So if you think about even Lachlan and how he, was like kind of staring at Saxon in the beginning of the season, watching him like masturbate or whatever. And like also at the same time, Saxon's having these like inappropriate conversation with his brother about like, what kind of porn do you watch? And like, am I going to be able to jerk off here next to you? Like all those types of things. It kind of is inviting or putting in the mind of somebody like Lachlan, like, oh, I guess there's no boundaries when it comes to sex stuff with us. And so it's this confusion that happens in the minds of a young person who doesn't understand like what is and isn't acceptable. And then they, as a result, end up doing something like this because they think like, oh, on Pornhub stuff like this happens all the time.
Mhm.
And so they have this skewed sense of what is or isn't acceptable sexually. I will also say about Saxon, and this I know to be true in the real world, some of the most homophobic guys I know, some
Yep.
of the most homophobic guys I know have had threesomes with other men.
Don't look up the Kansas City Chiefs kicker right now and look up, his activities in college with
Harrison
maybe
Butker?
a male member of the cheerleading squad. Maybe that's a thing that's out there. Yeah, maybe
Harrison
that's
Butker?
something. Maybe there's something about Harrison
Mr.
Butker
Let's
that's out
get the
there.
ladies back in the kitchens?
That is correct. Yeah, maybe
Wow.
there's
But
something
that's what
that's
I'm
out
saying.
there.
Like, and I know this to be true in real life. Like,
Yeah.
the number of stories I know about guys in college doing stuff with other guys because another woman was in the room, it's countless. And they're some of the most homophobic red pill dudes that I have ever met in my life. And so all of that shit, it's like it was so deeply fucked up. There's obviously like the incest part of it, the assault part of it, like the non-consenting part of it, all that stuff. But what I thought was amazing is afterwards when you have Chloe and Chelsea. Chelsea is a delight. I love Chelsea.
The best.
She's I've never been so fucked up where I hook up with my brother and I'm not judging. But Chloe, I think that Chloe also is thinking of it from the sense of she's been around a person like Gary who has used sex with women or
Yep.
putting women in sexual situations and using it as blackmail. And I think that Chloe did the same thing, which by the way, Chloe's fucked up too. Like, why are you having sex with an 18-year-old? Like, he's so young. She actually
Mhm.
says, like, I like having sex with young guys, right? Like,
Yeah.
that's fucked up.
Yeah, sure. That's totally fucked up. I hate that Chloe did that. I completely
No,
back
but
you
I'm
up on
saying
that.
but I'm saying, like, that whole thing of, like, you have a man do these terrible things to women, and now a woman is doing sort of playing that same card that men play on women, on these 2 brothers. Like, even Gary saying, like, "Invite those guys to the
Mhm.
house." I think Gary probably has cameras on that boat.
Oh yeah.
Like, he
Oh,
for
Gary
sure
knows
knows what
exactly. Yeah, yeah,
happens.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Greg, Gary, whatever the fuck his name is. But I think all of that stuff, like, I think it was this episode, right? Where Belinda says from Scarface, first you get the money,
Mhm.
then you get the
Power.
power, and then you
Then
get
you
the
get
women, right?
yes.
And so like
I have
that
a tattoo. I have that tattooed on my forearm. I got it after listening to a Red Pill podcast.
but like that stuff, right? That is very much what is happening on in this dynamic of like Saxon and Lachlan and Chloe and Chelsea and all that. And it's like it's so fucked up, but like it all is happening because of these people that think that sex and power and money are all intertwined in each other, and that's how you use people instead of just like treating human beings like they're human beings.
I agree with you. Like I agree with you on some level on most of these things. I want to talk about Lachlan, right?
Yeah.
Because as you were explaining that, as you were explaining his upbringing and him seeing how Saxon deals with people, how he looks at women, and maybe like that's the and watching porn and like the confusion that all of that stuff leads to, right? I think there's validity in that debate, right? At the end of the day, though, I think Lachlan is a predator. Like a
Mhm.
predator is a predator is a
Sure.
predator.
Yep.
You know what I mean? So yeah, we can talk about how he got confused about incest through Pornhub. We can talk about how him seeing how his brother operates and like his brother seeing, like viewing like the act of sex as something different, and that confusing Lachlan, that's how it contributed, blah blah blah, etc etc. All those things are valid, right? At the end of the day, though, what Lachlan has showed from now that I look back at it is i I don't trust Lachlan to even be like the naive guy. One
Mhm.
of the things that's happened along with like like with there's this red pill alpha bro culture, that is one part, and that is a really pernicious way that men now feel that they can act in front of women and in the culture, like they can just, this is just how I'm going to act. There is another part of that for the men that are, or for the boys or whatever you want to call it, for the males that are traditionally more like wallflowers and things like
Yeah.
that, right? There is a way for them to understand how to act
Yeah.
in public, how to seem like, oh, you know what, let me let help get people's guards down
Yeah.
with by being like this innocent guy who does close hand magic and all
Yeah.
those things, right? Seem naive to get close, so then I can take advantage. Like I don't know at what point he made the decision to take advantage of his brother, but
Mhm.
he made that decision.
Interesting.
He definitely made that decision when he kissed him. Like because the girls were okay with him kissing, just because two brothers kissing is the weirdest thing in the world to me. Like that. And then Lachlan chose to double down on it
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
to get sexually gratified from that moment.
At the end, though, when he is at the monastery with Piper and he has that flashback,
Uh-huh.
I thought I got the idea that he was remembering what happened then. But at the same time, Lachlan gives a smirk on the boat. Like, well, I don't know what we did last night.
I'll say this: I am afraid for Piper. I'm afraid for the fact that Lachlan is there with Piper alone because I don't know what that kid's capable of.
I also think though, I think that if the way that Saxon treated Piper, where he was like tickling her and getting in her personal space,
Yeah.
if that's like what his older brother was doing with their sister to be like, oh, there's no boundaries here. That's where I'm saying like Lachlan has also picked that up from somewhere of like that lack of boundaries, right? And then on
Mm-hmm.
top of that, you add to like the sexual part of it, but like that idea of like, oh yeah, we're just siblings, like there's no boundaries between us, and let me just like touch you and grab you and all that stuff. I think
Mm-hmm.
that Saxon doing that to Piper and Piper being like, stop, right? And then Lachlan then doing that thing even worse to Saxon is very like it's a very full circle moment of like irony on Saxon.
Now, do you look at that? See, here's the thing: you are looking at and I understand why Saxon is the guy that we should all hate. Like Saxon, he's made himself the way that he operates in the world. He's made himself a target for people like you and me, right?
Yeah.
For us to be like, hey, that's a piece of shit, blah blah blah. I also think that Lachlan is just a manipulative little piece of shit.
Wow, you think it's really that thought out? I don't think it's
I
that thought out. I think
see
it's
that.
more. I think that it's more coming from a place of like not confusion, but like coming from a place of wanting to impress somebody who seems like they would like that they it's impress a person who doesn't believe in boundaries.
Do you really believe that Lachlan thinks that Saxon wanted to get jerked off by his brother?
I
I
don't know what they thought because I don't understand that. Okay.
we got too serious in this conversation, but like when that scene first started, my initial thought was, "Hey, when's the last time I slept in the same room as Nabil?"
Oh no, I don't like that. I don't like
What's
that
the?
at all.
I'm trying to think of the last time we shared a bed. I want to say it was 1993 when we went to
Oh,
Greece because we stayed at a hotel.
okay. That's
Um,
yeah.
but yeah, that's the first thing that I thought of. Second thing was, at what point did you realize that um it wasn't Saxon going to town on himself? Like when did you realize that he
I
wasn't
don't know.
jerking
I
off?
felt like it was weird enough as it was to begin with. Even if it was Saxon going to town on himself. I was like, "Oh, this is disgusting. This is so weird.
Uh,
I don't like this." Okay, we got to wrap up the chat, so we must talk about the Ratliff's parents.
mhm.
So, they have some, we got some suicidal ideation stuff, dark stuff for
Mhm.
Timothy.
Oh,
He's
sorry.
not well. He's not
Oof.
well. But going to the monastery really does help him out. That monk
Mhm.
says, you cannot outrun fear. That's what you guys are doing. These Americans, the Westerners, they come here, they keep trying to satisfy themselves, and you cannot outrun whatever you've got going on. And he's like, oh, this guy's the real deal.
Yeah.
And then Victoria says, what? And she tells Piper, why don't you stay here? Why don't
Mhm.
you stay here for one night and you see how you do? And if you like it, then I'll let you stay here forever. Which I was like, that's brilliant. But then back at the hotel, she's talking to Timothy and she's like, I just can't imagine living without money at this point in my life. I can't imagine living life without the comforts that I have. And I saw
Mhm.
online somebody pointed this out that she's sniffing a perfume of some sort. She's literally sniffing something that is grassy. And so rather than touching grass, she's just sniffing grass. So she gets the feeling that she's like in touch with the world, but
Uh-huh.
like not actually in touch with the world. I thought that was really brilliant.
Yeah, all of this stuff like her what I'm looking forward to, I just saw a story or I saw a post is remember when Kate, not Kate, what's Leslie Bibb's name?
Yeah, Kate, when she's like,
Kate,
"Oh, yeah, you
we know.
remember we met, whatever." Yeah.
So now the Ratliffs don't have their phone, but Kate has her phone.
That's
If she
right.
talks to a friend from back home, somebody in her group, right, and says, "Oh, guess who I saw over here?" Now that friend has no reason to bring up that story right now, but that's gonna be awesome.
Oh, that's going to be amazing. I hope that that comes up. But they're all going to go to Gary's house where I think
Mhm.
somebody's going to get poisoned or worse. I don't know, blackmailed. I have no idea. Maybe they'll play the video of the brothers together on a big screen. I have no idea. But also, Rick, ugh, sweet Rick. Rick is going with Sam Rockwell, pretending to be a director to Sridhara's house to meet her husband, and they're gonna have words. I feel like he's gonna confront him, and we're gonna find out that that man's not actually the one who murdered his father. That man is actually his father.
Ooh, you think so?
That would be like an Indian movie plot twist,
That
like, and I
it,
like that.
sure, but he better be like a white guy. I think.
No,
Like
it
if
is a
the
white guy. We know
oh,
it's a
did
white
they show?
guy. Yeah, yeah,
Oh,
it's a
did they
Western
show?
guy.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah, 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 yeah. So
My favorite part of like that scene with Rick and Frank is that Frank's first line is, "Yeah, that's a brutal story, man," because like Rick is telling him about how he grew up, and we all just heard Frank's brutal story.
Frank's like, yeah, sounds terrible. Anyway, do you want me to tell you what I've been up to again? Or what a
Uh,
show. Only 2 episodes left.
oh, I'm gonna
Who do you
miss it.
think is dead? Who do you think is dead at the end? Any predictions? Who's gonna die?
I feel like the amount of gunfire that we heard, right? It feels like a robbery or something big happening. So it's either a robbery with Valentine and his crew, or it is the authorities coming to get either Gary or now maybe Tim.
Yeah, maybe. I think that it's still gonna be an accidental death.
A
Because
hilarious
that's what they
accident.
do. That's what they do
Yeah.
on this show. Everybody accidentally dies. And we won't forget last season, all the gays on the boat did die. Tanya did
Yeah.
kill them. So that did happen. But, besides that, I think it could be anybody.
Yeah.
All right, well that's it for this episode. I'll be back this week to talk to Arthi about Housewives. And I'm also gonna be on Bitch is Better with Raven.
Oh.
And so you guys should check that out. That'll be out later this week. And, until then, watch who you add or